Many people don't know Isaac Netero had a son, since it was only revealed after the anime finished. And Isaac Netero was introduced as a monster who was able to jump off a blimp all the way to the ground as the chairman of the Hunter Association. Hisoka wanted to fight him the most, a known power scaler who power scaled the Zodiacs and Illumi during the election arc, who only likes fighting the strong. When he challenged Gon and Killua to taking the ball in that little mini game, Gon used his head to attack Netero, and if he had his head against Netero again, he would have bashed his skull in because his muscles were that strong, and he didn't want to relax his muscles because Gon might have actually captured the ball. He wiped away Pito, the royal guard, with ease during his arrival during the Chimera Ant arc, and got the Ant King Meruem to respect him and admire him as he fought him with one arm and one leg. Prime Netero was able to do 10,000 punches in an hour, and when Zeno was born, he was still an old man and became a great acquaintance with him like yin and yang, but Zeno knew he had the upper hand as he survived the fight with his grandfather Zodiac. So for Togashi to bring his son into the forefront right before we head to the Dark Continent means he has some big things planned, so let's do a deep dive real quick. The way we get introduced to Beyond Netero is by the Kakin King, or the royal family, hiring Isaac Netero's son, a rough dark-haired unkempt version of his father. Beyond looked like he came from the Dark Continent, honestly, like he was a calamity himself. But yeah, Beyond Netero, this is how we got introduced to the character. And he states his beloved father used to say, when you stop challenging yourself, your life is over. And the way Netero went out by fighting the Ant King, one of the greatest challenge in Meruem, I believe it. Deciphering myths and exploring ruins, we learn where our ancient ancestors come from, and the Zodiacs hearing Netero speak, Beyond Netero speak, were just shocked, saying there's no need to confirm. And we even see Sayu the traitor say this as well. But Ginta said it's like the chairman himself is talking. No matter how many obstacles stand in the path to our goal, I promise I will remove them. It's beyond Netero's willpower and leadership qualities to inspire people to move forward. Age, gender, nationality, employment, race, none of it matters. Everyone deserves an equal opportunity, because all that goes to waste when you enter the Dark Continent. You can really feel the Isaac Netero vibes from this character, but it gets a little darker when it comes to Beyond. Beyond Netero then says he will turn down no challenger. Anyone who wants to win this new land is his family. He's determined to conquer the Dark Continent. It's amazing. Each person will have a role to play. All you need is the courage to step forward. Come one, come all to Kakin. It's like those infomercials that are really trying to inspire you to join the military or something. And he says, let us go to new world, which gives me commander vibes. Like he's willing to sacrifice many people for their goal. I never got that vibe from his father, if I'm being completely honest. It looks like his father really wanted the best for the people, and Netero really wants the pride of the people. That he really wants to motivate the people into going all in when it comes to Beyond. Beyond Netero then promises to take the people there as the greatest hunters the Zodiacs watched in silence. A very powerful moment, and I can't wait for this to be animated. After this, we get a little behind the curtains moment when we see Beyond Netero live after his speech, and he talks about how there's 100 million views on iTunes in an hour. Beyond acting like he's a YouTuber of some sort, looking at his real-time stats, and there's 100k phone lines. They can't keep up the applications, and V5 told Kakin King to sign a treaty. Beyond says tell them to ignore it. They've been asleep for centuries, and I think this is a reference to Dawn Freaks, how 300 years ago is when they actually had a success when it comes to the Dark Continent. Also that balance though, like the way he's balancing that pen, kind of reminded me of his father. Yes, that's right. When Isaac Netero was first introduced in the manga, you could see him drinking out of a straw in a glass on a plate on his foot. Really shows that Togashi really likes the details of showing the connection between these two characters. Beyond then tells Curly to stop yapping after asking about the V5 rules, which were overly complicated. Then Beyond says they would make me sit around for years waiting to play by club rules, and how after dropping a fortune might get to accompany the expedition on a supervised sightseeing tour. So Beyond wants to be in the trenches of the Dark Continent, not no soft shit of like, oh here, look at this is the outer of the Dark Continent, and this is this and this and that. Beyond just wants to go deep in the Dark Continent, find new things, and really explore this unknown land. And he even says it himself. He says, I want to go where no one has gone before, meet people nobody has met. I want to explore without bounds, acquire things nobody has touched, in the great wide open, leaving my mark on the virgin territory. I won't turn down anyone who joins or chase after anyone who leaves, but I'll crush anyone who tries to interfere, aka Pearston Hill. I feel like Pearston Hill is going to be the one that tries to interfere. Also, Beyond is a villain, and Pearston Hill is an anti-hero, and a lot of times when you see anti-heroes and villains, they work together for a while, but then it comes to a point where the anti-hero tries to take down the villain and becomes the anti-hero. So expect that to happen during the Dark Continent arc. V5 wanted the Zodiacs to hunt down Beyond Netero. Funny thing is, I would bet my money on Beyond. He is the son of Isaac Netero, the monster. Jing and Pearson also stepped down from the Zodiacs Zodiacs, so they're not as strong as we think. They're still incredibly powerful, some of the strongest hunters in the world, but Jing and Pearson were definitely the ones that really caught my attention during the election arc. So yeah, and they're the only ones, Jing said it, they're the only ones who actually think like Netero. Let's be honest here, if you think like Netero, just like Jing saying, they're the only ones who are actually legit threats in the Zodiacs. We learn of the Beyond report of the hunter coming back from the Dark Continent with the calamity Zobe, endless despair, disposed as hope, the immortal disease. V5 avoided the Hunter Association and secretly sent in their own research team. His son Beyond is one of the experts in charge. Isaac Netero's son Beyond is one of the experts in charge of the expedition decision making. Isaac Netero vouching for his son's expertise is legit. You gotta give respect to respect is due. Beyond Netero ignored his father and took unexplored routes that led to considerable casualties, and he brought back new threats. He wanted to try again, but his father forbade until after his death. And respect to Isaac Netero for saving mankind here. Like, he really did mankind a favor. And then he went twice when he was young, but the required strength there was not what he sought, and he needed an opponent with either victory or defeat as an outcome. But the new world, the harsh battle with Mother Nature with no victor, was not as in his appetite. The strength my son desired that was formidable and essential to exploring there. If anything, he's more suited to be an hunter than I, aka Beyond is incredibly powerful. Ask his dad. That's all I heard from this explanation. Isaac Netero then, of course, orders the Zodiacs, but doesn't order the Zodiac to go to the Dark Continent before his son and bring back hope. A difficulty of A. The Khmer ants were a difficulty of B, so shows you how difficult the Dark Continent is. And then we see Sayu, who we learn later is actually the trader working for Beyond in Pariston. He's against hunting Beyond, and Kanzai, he doesn't really get it himself, but he doesn't really get much in general. And then Gel, the snake Zodiac, says he's Beyond's been preparing for decades, and asks who else in the Zodiac even thought about going to the Dark Continent. And then they all say that idiot Jing, who Biscuit said that Netero told her that Jing was a top 5 Nen user back in the day, so he's probably stronger now too. So he's probably the strongest hunter and closest to Beyond, if I'm being completely honest. And then we see Beyond Netero actually approach the Zodiacs, and he says it's been a while, Bean, showing the familiarity with Isaac Netero's closest person in the world. And he even says those guys must be the Zodiacs. So it looks like Beyond Netero had no contact with any of the Zodiacs. And then V5 say that pretty much tells them to contact V5 and say that they caught him. This is why he's more suited to be a hunter, in my opinion, because he's more of an intellectual, while Netero is more of an emotional, intelligent character who really goes into the emotional aspect, the heart aspect, while Beyond looks like he's more into the brain aspect of the deeper intricacies of the world. An example is when he says, let's just call it a quid pro quo. I looked this up because even I didn't know what the definition of this was, and it meant in favor in turn for advantage. So pretty much scratch my back and I scratch yours. Beyond starts to do some predictions, and this is why I feel like he thinks like Netero, Isaac Netero, and Jing Freaks in Pariston, because a lot of his thought process is for the future. And Beyond predicts the Zodiacs will release him and go to the Dark Continent with him. And Chairman Cheadle says, you're delusional. And then that's when Beyond Netero says, do you have time to hear me out before you go to V5? And this will be tough for Cheadle, in my opinion, who's super loyal to Isaac Netero, but is staring at his own son that's super similar. I think they have major differences in my opinion, but they also have a lot of similarities. Cheadle then records the conversation and thinks to herself, this is difficult, just facing him makes me waver. What does he want? But she knows they're being attacked, which I like. She at least knows that Beyond Netero is a villain, unlike his father, which is her intuition, which I agree with. Beyond then asks if they can brace themselves for the truth. He explains how their world is within an enormous lake, Morbius, in the center of the Dark Continent, like they're trapped of some sort. Mankind tried to go there 149 times, and only 5 ships returning with survivors of 28 people. And Beyond is the only one alive to this day. 5 trips were after the treaty, so they were unofficial, and they could not cross the far ocean boundary without the guide, and only 3 returned to their daily lives. So this is interesting. It's kind of like showing how difficult it is to get to the Dark Continent. We then see Beyond and Cheadle go back and forth on their world views, and of course, after seeing this, Kanzai is so confused with their conversation and asks for an explanation, as they're speaking very abstract, like a painting. And Sacho explains that Beyond got a ticket to the Dark Continent for making Kakin King a historic hero, and V5 wants to maintain dignity by having the Zodiac babysit Beyond. So that was a pretty good explanation by Sacho, if I'm being honest. Beyond then tells Cheadle to trust him and to tell V5 that the Zodiacs will watch over him if V5 trusts them. This is pretty much his challenge to Cheadle, and the Dark Continent will be the proving grounds. Will you be there? Cheadle thinks to herself, this will be a battle. The whole Hunter Association need to fight, showing how strong Beyond is as a foe. Beyond tells Cheadle, take my blood, anything to show like his amazing will of what he believes in. It kind of reminds me of Netero and Jing. And she knows he's using the Hunter Association to get to the Dark Continent. And the fact that he says, take my blood, he's ass. He pretty much is trying to prove that his DNA is pretty much like the father of Isaac Netero. But she says, like, pretty much that Beyond expected them to think he's a fraud, but they already knew right away that he wasn't a fraud because they were all so close to Netero. Like, these all the Zodiacs used to train with Netero personally, 1v1 training. So, yeah, it makes sense. They're all handpicked by Netero. Cheadle then realizes going to this evil place with a sly foe like Beyond is going to be difficult. And it tells the other hunters they're ready for the showdown, which confuses Kansai. And Gel explains Beyond will escape, and they have to fight off him and his comrades and the harsh reality of the Dark Continent unknown. So I like how Gel kind of explains to Kansai, who's most of the time confused, but I still think he's a really interesting character. I'll talk about that in another video. And Ginta wants to have fun with Beyond, but Cluck says he's an optimist, showing that they all had so much love for his father. And showing the foreshadowing to him causing dark mayhem. And Beyond says as long as it takes. So I think that he's going to cause havoc to the Zodiacs as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Beyond kills some Zodiacs. Like, he looks like he is anything to get to where he wants to go. He doesn't care now that his father is dead. The fact that his father even thought he might go after him is interesting. We then learn about Netero's secret trip with Zig Zodek and another hunter, a female hunter. When they were there, the Dark Continent was just too big, and then Beyond did a trip and got a Metallian plant and brought it back, the Calamity Zobe, and the plant died, and that's when the father said, yeah, no more Dark Continent. So we're learning a lot of information here. We then see Beyond Netero's men act like they're not like that hype, and they're just temp hunters. And compared to Jing, who's like almost a triple star hunter, and he calls bullshit right away, saying they're experts that pretty much are hunters for the Dark Continent, and their skills are for the unknown. And they've been planning a long time with their leader as Beyond. I think this is a big mistake right here. Beyond's big mistake was not Pearson, but actually Jing handling his men. This could cause them to switch sides, in my opinion. I think Jing could really hurt Beyond's plans, and he just doesn't know it yet because he's locked up. Beyond will be under 24-hour surveillance watch. And pretty much the rules is he can't resist the Hunter Association. Anything he will find will be a part of V6, the new treaty with, of course, the Kakin royal family. Beyond then signs and leaves the pen standing. As I said, his balance is really good here. Like, seeing this moment was cool. As he says, there's 3 things remain: qualification, the means, and a contract. But if you look, the Zodiac's 4th prince, Jing, and Kurapika are all on this panel. I think Netero's blood might not just be with Beyond, but also it could go beyond that and go, no pun intended, to the 4th prince, but that's just a theory of mine. Kurapika comes into play, letting them know that Beyond has hunters on his side and is capable, has a capable right hand. Cheadle realizes it's Pearson, who I believe actually trusts Beyond, while pretty much I want to say that he trusts Beyond wholeheartedly because of his love for his father, but I think that his trust with Beyond is also because of his power and how he dominates, where when it comes to Isaac Netero, it was kind of like they were trying to annoy each other, but they still respected each other. I think it's the opposite here. I think it's just complete trust with Beyond. We then see Sayus saying that he wants to supervise Beyond himself. Just before this, when speaking of a spy, Mizustorm said Netero let Pearson, the vice chairman, and a spy in hopes of Beyond if hope came to kill him, meaning Netero wanted to challenge his best friend. I think Jing will have to finish Beyond for Isaac Netero because Jing's friendship with Isaac Netero was very strong. And when he's interrogated, Beyond says he doesn't care, he doesn't know about a spy, he doesn't care about ceremonies, and he's talking about how he's captured for a month on a boat, and he'll be on a boat for 2 months, and that's it. Pretty much saying like that's his time frame before he gets to the Dark Continent. This is Mizustorm interrogation, who's like really good interrogating for a hunter. Kurapika's watching and surveilling this, and he admits that Beyond is telling the truth. He does not know about Sayu being a traitor and Pearson working together. to free him. He wants to stay captured until the Dark Continent, showing that this guy really is keeping it real. He's really standing on business here. He's not capping. Kurapika and Storm then say they plan to arrest Sayu before the new continent and before Beyond notices, as they plan to free him on the new continent. So pretty much before they even get to the Dark Continent, the island before the Dark Continent, that's when they plan to do the arrest. And I noticed right before they get on the ship, Benjamin, the first prince, could be Beyond's son, because they have the same hand movement here. A lot of people think it's a different prince, but I think Benjamin definitely is a strong candidate because of this moment. And then we see Sacho, Kanzai, and the spy Sayu all guarding. It's insane how powerful Beyond Netero is, showing how legitimate he is as a Nen user. But I also want to say this. The fact that Kanzai and Sacho are there, I wouldn't be surprised if they only needed 2 people, but they had to put Sayu there because he needs to be surveillance as well. And just recently, in the recent 2024 batches of Hunter x Hunter chapters, when we really got some big information up Beyond. Things really started to take a real fast motion, as we found out that one of the princes is Beyond child. Yes, he has a lot of children that have cursed, that he has cursed with Nen when they die, and we don't know what the cursed Nen is. But right now, one of the princes is Beyond's child, and the succession arc just got a little more interesting. And then we see this really interesting dialogue where he asks Kanzai for any other books, and of course Kanzai says, "Why don't you just go write your own book? Use your," and he asks for a paper and pencil, and he says, "Use your own beard and blood to do it." And then Beyond says, "I can cave your skull in with this book." And of course Kanzai, he's not scared because he's a top hunter, but Beyond says, "This guy's an interesting fellow." I took 2 things from this. I took Beyond Netero is incredibly powerful. The fact that he thinks he can cave in Kanzai's skull that easily. And the second thing is Kanzai is incredibly confident in his ability. And I can't wait to see what Nen ability he has. And then he asks Kanzai that he wants to speak to someone. And I think it might be Jing or it might be Periston. But we will see. It might even be one of the princes. Yeah, it could be his own son he wants to speak with. And I want to say also, Kanzai kind of reminds me of Gon and Killua, and he was handpicked by Netero, so I think he might have a lot of potential that only Netero knows about, because we did see Hisoka power scale him, and he wasn't as strong as like Ginta or Illumi, so, and he's a combat hunter, so that kind of was a letdown. But I think there's more to the meets the eye, and Beyond really is has a good keen eye for power, and the fact that Isaac Netero handpicked him, he might surprise us. The final thing I want to say about Beyond Netero, I believe the 4th prince is actually his son. And the reason why I say this is because the 4th prince is developing really fast. Like really, this Nen is actually scary. The powers he's able to do with the manipulation and time, and like, it's just insane what the 4th prince is able to do. And I think he'll go to the Dark Continent with his son and his son will win the succession war. And I think it might even get to the point where his son will try to kill him, like Isaac suspected Beyond will try to kill him. And this could definitely make Beyond's son the actual villain after him. I think he's the main villain right now, but his son, the 4th prince, might actually become the main villain. I can't wait for this 50 chapters that are about to be in process of being made. And I believe Beyond is the strongest character in the story, which makes him a great villain for what we currently have. And he hasn't even started. A lot of his villainness is from his mind games. We haven't even seen him lift a finger yet. And I think he might even have the power and ability to surpass the likes of Meruem and reach close to Prime Netero. I think people are really underestimating Beyond Netero's power. So debate in the comment section if you disagree.